Hey guys, this is Supercat Melee, and here is my first video of a new series titled Life with A. Insert the name of a specific item here. And this is my first episode, and this episode will be dedicated to life with a HD CRT monitor, aka the Micron PC 900MX. This will be a review of sorts of me discussing my experiences with living with and daily driving relics from the past. This being a CRT monitor, but it could also be flip phones, iPods, Walkmans, old televisions. I'm gonna try and do a lot of stuff. Let's get right into the episode and talking about what I use this monitor for. Since this is my second monitor and it goes with my main desktop, I've been using this monitor almost every day for the past year or so. And I'd like to talk about some of the things I dislike about this monitor before I get into the good stuff and why I recommend you own a CRT monitor. First off, these guys are getting rare and harder to find. I got lucky and picked this one up at the beginning of the pandemic for a whopping $30 on Facebook Marketplace, but your mileage may vary on finding a good example like this. My second drawback that most people probably agree on is that these things are pretty dang heavy and bulky, especially for those who do not have a lot of desk space. And I'd also like to talk about some of the drawbacks with this specific monitor in particular. One of the most annoying things about this monitor is that it has a weird blue tint to everything. The seller told me this and it didn't really bother me too much. There are little things you can do to fix these problems with these old Trinitron tubes. That's right, this is a Sony Trinitron in this sucker. This monitor itself was not made by Sony, but the tube in here, genuine Sony. Another serious drawback with this display is that while you can mix and match resolutions and refresh rates, some digital to analog adapters might not support all resolutions, and sometimes it wouldn't even display past 1024 by 1280, and other times it can go well beyond 1200 by 600 at 89 Hz. I usually keep it set around 1080 by 1440 at 90 Hz, and I have the least amount of issues at this resolution with my cheap VGA DisplayPort adapter. Not to mention it helps workflow a lot better with my second 1080p IPS display. Okay, now that we've gotten the bad out of the way, it's time to talk about the good stuff. For starters, the viewing angles on this monitor are incredible, and watching 4x3 content looks amazing on this display. Unfortunately for flat panel snobs, OLEDs have a long way to go on price, / becoming small enough for standard monitor sizes before they will be able to rival this viewing experience. Side note, my Samsung Galaxy S7 has a 1440p OLED panel, and that screen looks incredible. Really hope display manufacturers are putting a lot of work into OLED technology because I love seeing that stuff. Anyways, back to the review. So I've already talked a little bit about consuming video content on this monitor and how incredible that is to me. But playing games is also amazing. I play Slippy Melee, netplay on this monitor, and it feels really responsive and crisp. And I used to play other games such as Valorant, Minecraft, and a ton of emulators and older PC games on this monitor with no issues. If you want to game competitively and you're on a serious budget, I highly recommend any CRT monitor for that application. Another reason why I would recommend a CRT monitor is because of the cool factor. I don't know almost anyone in real life who still dailies a CRT monitor, though I do have friends who still have CRT televisions. You've got to admit, there is a certain allure to these old relics from the past. It's really good to use this monitor to message people and read emails while doing something else on my widescreen monitor. But it's also good to have a crisscross of aspect ratios for different applications and videos. Typing on Word documents can get quite annoying at the 100% zoom on a widescreen monitor because Microsoft tries to be smart and does that double page thing. But sometimes you just want to throw that window onto your CRT monitor and bang out the actual homework or lab assignment on your bigger monitor and fill out the questions on your CRT. So, what are my final thoughts on living with a CRT monitor as a part of your main computer setup? I highly recommend it, and I think it's a great way to intertwine a little display history with your everyday routine. While I have been quite lucky owning this relatively low-hour Trinitron-based example, even lower resolution, higher hour displays are still worth the time of cleaning up, maybe even replacing a few capacitors or two, bringing them back to life. As long as the tube still looks relatively bright, all 3 light guns are firing, and you've been on the fence, then I would say go for it. These things are finite, and they won't be around forever, so it's good to enjoy them and experience using them while we still can.